Is that Marincess topping another regional? Yes, it is. Alright, to the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So what in the world has happened out here for this regional? Well, we have two branded decks in Top Cut. I can't say that I'm really surprised to see that, you know, these decks are still holding on. I mean, so many people branded Expulsion, enjoyed the busness. It is really, really good. And I'm genuinely impressed with how much that we have seen out here for these particular decks. Now, we also have a Punk deck in Top Cut. Yes, Punk has kind of woken back up a little bit in this format, and not a lot of people have really considered this. I mean, we've seen some Kashtira Synchro variants out here, but these haven't been crazy large numbers out here. So to say that Punk has like been forgotten, that's not entirely true. It's just people are messing around with all sorts of different ratios for this. We also have a Dinosaur variant out here as well. Very shocked to see the Dinosaurs of all decks actually getting a couple free wins out here. Ultimate Conductor kind of shaking things up, which has been actually pretty good out here. We also have a Kashtira variant as well. I mean, that's pretty standard. As you look through these regionals here, you're going to continue to see that be a mainstay here. We also had a Flaunderies player as well. Flounder's kind of been doing its thing out here. To nobody's real shock. Very happy to see that. We also had Sword Soul. Sword Soul also kind of maintains doing its thing out here. And then we also had another Marincess deck. Now, this is essentially double Marincess the regional season here. And I think it's been very nice to see a lot of the shakeup that's kind of being brought to the table here with how fair that this format has actually kind of turned out to be at this point. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Let's pass on over those top deck list. Winning a regional here was Despia. Now, I will tell you, for everything that we have seen out here for Despia, this has turned out to be one of the best gosh darn cards that you've got going on here. Giving your opponent no operation window or no window to be able to toggle for their effects feels really, really insane. Like, you're going to feel like an entirely crazy duelist here if you get this card to actually resolve. It is beyond all expectations here. Outside of that, we're on a one... We're just playing one? Or I'm playing... Okay, sure. Perfectly understandable here. I will tell you, for the most part here, one brand fusion feels very normal at this stage. We're playing the one banishment here, the triple fusion deployment, your one Cartesia. Everything feels pretty straightforward here in terms of the developments for at least the metagame version of this deck. Alright, Punk, good stuff. AKA, what synchro do I want to make today? You know, I think the cool thing about this variation of the deck is this card right here is an actual problem in the current format. And I want to give Yu-Gi-Oh! Players a little bit of credit here, and I want to say, you know, maybe they'll find a chance to do this. But having this card be unaffected by your opponent's activated effects is a real problem. Alright? And especially the larger it gets, nobody's playing outs for this. Like, that's the big problem here right now. I mean, something like Destructive Daruma Cannon would be all of the fun stuff that you would want to see out here to kind of check some of these big indestructible boss monsters, but Labyrinth's not playing that, and you didn't even really see success out here. So what makes this deck so strong? I mean, this card toggles up for the draw power. This lets you check your opponent. This lets you check into this. You have defensive lines here, and then you have... Can we call this a consistent engine at this point? Because sometimes Punk feels really bad. I mean, you got effectively 4 negates here. So whatever is going to cover your matchups here, I feel like you are a lot more well-rounded versus a lot of the other decks kind of present in the metagame. And especially when you'll be toggling up, making these larger boards, your opponent's not going to really know what to do out here. Next up is Dinosaur. Now, disclaimer here. This is by far one of the more basic builds that we see now. That does not mean that that's a bad thing. It just means that some people might not have, A, had ratios necessarily down, or they haven't really given a lot of consideration to kind of optimizing ratios here. Now, we are playing the one True King Listogasm. Extra gripping kind of feels like the era right now. And does it win games? I mean, yeah, in some certain cases, you'll take a free W just because you're like, oh, that's a nice extra deck resource you have there. It'd be a real shame if I ripped it away from you. The other big things are Vice's Starfrost getting the ability to pop a monster. Like, oh, let's blow up the little baby here and go ahead and special summon our next friend. Yeah, feels really, really good. Outside of this, I mean, double thrust into the evenly match. I mean, you're effectively playing 4 evenly at this point, which is actually kind of good. It's 44 cards, but I don't see an issue with that. Double Evo Pill. We're playing the one Giant Rex. So a lot of your bases feel like they are covered here. And of course, we're playing one copy of the Denko Rekka machine. I am very happy to see that because we have relevant back row now, that Denko Sekka has got the chance to kind of step back into the format here and actually be a very scary monster. Alright, now we have Cash Money Dollar Bills, the deck, featuring Salesman. Now, this is what I was kind of talking about in the very early stages of the format here, because a lot of players, depending on the build of Cash Tira that you want to optimize and play, Salesman makes it so that you don't have to play Crossout Designator. Now, Crossout Designator is going to force you to play, depending on your ratios, like a 1 of Nibiru, a 1 of whatever, like, defensive lines that you want to play. This just lets you declare Nibiru and then you're, like, done because you're not even main decking it. Like, there's no real point here. Now, I mean, the rest of this deck, your defensive options like Book of Moon and Forbidden Chalice here, which are more of the standard choices here. I mean, Book of Eclipse can do a lot more, but if this variant has a hard time kind of cleaning up the issues that are kind of being left behind on the field, then you're not going to make that dedication to that. So that's something really big to consider here at the end of the day is, how much optimization will we be able to do? Do the benefits of this outweigh, something like what we're already seeing here? And there are just a lot of real big things to consider. So yes, the answer is Salesman does work out. It depends on your variation and your card choices that you want to go for. Leave it to Yu-Gi-Oh players to decide that, Salesman looks like an optimal pickup here, and it is actually working itself out. I actually am very happy to see that this is getting some time to shine here. Next up here is our next Espia deck. Now, if you've been sticking around here, you definitely have noticed that Dark Dragoon has become one of the go-to monsters. And the main primary reason for that is we're kind of in a format right now where, like, Dark Rule No More is not really showing its head. So you can kind of clean up an entire field, deploy this, and then have your opponent go, oh, that's a pretty big negate. Like, I don't really have an answer to that. And yeah, that's the big reason why something like this card is getting the chance to see play. And of course, like most branded decks right now, you have good old Puppet Nightmare here. Just hand it on over to your opponent. Your opponent's like, oh boy, what am I supposed to do to this? Well, unfortunately, nothing. And then, of course, we are playing the Crossout Designators here. I actually love this for the mirror match for this. Getting the ability to cross out whatever you want is kind of hilarious. And we are actually playing triple Magna Hut here. So we're already, sporting off Saronir in the main deck, so having some extra buy steals all depends on the matchup, by the way, that you really need to see these. And the cool thing is this deck just kind of can toggle these in. It's not like they really need to go crazy with these. It's just more options that they can bring to the table here. And our last list here is Marincess. Now, let me tell you, I have really enjoyed seeing Marincess's success this format. Now, this is going to feel a little bit different than some of the other builds that we've seen. We're actually playing the Silent Sea Nettle here. You can get some water shovels back for this, or this gives you the ability to special summon to level 4, which can help you make the Bahamut Shark down here. So you can go ahead and toggle and laugh at your opponent. And we are also playing the Pot of Desires here. We're also on double Zealantis. I like what we're seeing here with these ratios. It's definitely some interesting ideas being presented here for Marincess overall, so not too bad. But what do you guys think about the goodies here? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.